So today we're going to go through all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have neglected the most this year. For the most part, I've been actually pretty decent going through all of my eyeshadow palettes as you have been following me in my ranking series. There's a lot that I go into every single month, but I do have a small little list here of palettes where I haven't gone into them at all yet for 2025, or I've only gone into them once. And we're here to rectify that. So for the next, obviously, 6 months, because this is like my mid-year sort of crisis mode where I'm like, did I go through all of my eyeshadow palettes? No, I did not. So now let's fix that. So basically, these are the palettes that I need to make sure that I go into in the next few months. There are, however, 2 palettes here where I have technically decluttered and I'm just waiting to depot some shades. So I don't feel too bad. Honestly, the list is pretty decent. And so let's get into it. There's only 7 here, which actually is pretty decent, I think. So the first one is actually a singles palette. I just spoke about this in my sort of monthly ranking for June, where I did go into one of my pastel roses, but for the most part, all of these have been neglected this year. So I actually would like to do a No Pan Left Behind. I'm currently doing No Pan Left Behind on my Colourpop singles, and I'm almost done with that. So I think this is going to be the next one to do because I save these shades for a reason and I never go into them. So honestly, I want to be able to go into my singles. I don't have a lot of singles and I know why. It's because I neglect them. So I try to keep them kind of minimal, but I still like a lot of those shades. That's why I kept them. So honestly, that's kind of bad on me, but I do have a plan as to how I'm going to crack it in the next few months. So hopefully I will finish my Colourpop singles, No Pan Left Behind, so I can do that pretty soon. The next one is my Colourpop California Love. So this is actually a palette that I was talking about depotting and putting in my Colourpop singles. So I think I've purposely just not gone into this at all, aside from maybe just the one shade, which I don't recall, was it 1 or 2 shades? I definitely, obviously these ones I all went into at least just once this year. There's definitely some really pretty shades in this palette. It was one of my favorite Colourpop palettes, but the fact that I just keep forgetting about it is just not a good thing. So I do want to depot it, put it with the rest of them, but I'm just waiting. It's like more of a waiting game, but I would like to carry on using this, obviously. I've kept it in my collection for a reason. Another one which makes me pretty sad, this is one of my favorite, all-time favorite Gloss Gods palette, Dancing in the Sky. I do not know why they do not bring this back, like officially have it as a staple palette, because it is one of their best palettes in my opinion. It is an all shimmer palette. It is a green palette, but is absolutely stunning, and I've only gone into it once this year, so something's going wrong there. I would love to roll this into like maybe the next Pan That Palette in Order palette. I'm currently already working on a Gloss Gods palette for that, which is the Looking or Look Over the Rainbow or something like that, and that is my second most precious palette from Gloss Gods. This is my favorite and I barely go into it. A lot of these flip yellow, they flip purple. Obviously you have some beautiful greens in here and I just love this palette so much. And yeah, I've only got into it once, so it has been neglected, unfortunately. Next up is actually a palette that I have pulled from my Shop My Stash, so I know that I've been neglecting it. It is the Menagerie Killer Purr. I actually really like this and I do want to go into it. That's why I pulled it from my Shop My Stash. I have yet to do that, so I still have to do that. I really do love this palette. Out of the 2 Menageries that I have, this is my favorite in terms of like a color story. Love their quality. And it's just got some really gorgeous, interesting shades. And I don't know why I don't go into it more. It just doesn't get rolled into projects. I feel like the same palettes get rolled into projects over and over and over again, and then everything else gets neglected. That's why I do my Shop My Stash, or just I try to go into other palettes occasionally just so I don't neglect everything. Okay, next up is my Nars. This is the Stargaze palette. So this one I went into a little bit more recently, but I only went into just the one shade, I think. Was it just the one shade? I think it was just one shade. And this is a very wintry palette for me, so it kind of makes sense. I'll probably want to start using it when we get into the miserable, cold, rainy months, which we're not into right now. However, having said that, I could do a really nice neutral look with the top row. So who knows, maybe I will pull it out for like a random look, but I definitely want to go into these a little bit more considering I've only gone into them once. Next up is the Lethal Cosmetics Avatar Water Palette. There are so many tractors on the roads. I keep having to stop. There's a lot of cuts in this video. It's because of that. Anyway, I just went into this last month and I have neglected it completely over the rest of the year. So I want to go into it a little bit more. Actually, I have really enjoyed blues this year, so I'm surprised that I have not gone into this palette. I did rank it really, really high when I did my full palette ranking video a few months ago, and I already have like a pan in it. I do think the quality of these palettes that they released are stunning. I did not get the Adventure Time palette. I think I'm just on a no-buy. I'm officially on a no-buy, guys. I just don't think I could do it anymore, but it looks delicious. Anyway, the next one, this is the last one where I've only used it once, is from What's Up Beauty. It is the Dragon's Eye palette. So this is what it looks like. Super, super pretty. Actually, a perfect palette to use for this time of year, I think. So I really need to be using this. Maybe I should pull this from my Shop My Stash too and just use it on a random day. Actually, I think I will do that because I'm kind of into these more mid-tone shades at the moment, considering we are in the summer, and then you do have some bright pops and gorgeous shimmers in here too. I have said this is not my favorite of the What's Up Beauty, but I think for summer it actually works really nicely. So maybe I will pull this now that I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, those actually look really, really interesting. I always love this side of the palette more than this side. This side's a lot more wintry and cool tone, and then you've got the warmth over here. I do like the juxtaposition of the two. I don't know why I can't speak today. I think it's because I put my Maybelline lifter, like the spicy one. What is this? This new thing that I spoke about. I put this on and my lips are burning at the moment. I'm stumbling over my words. Anyway, this one I've only gone into it once this year. The next set of palettes are all the ones that I have not gone into at all. There are 6 of them. It's not too bad. The first one is my MAC palette. This is the I always forget what it's called. Star Sighting Compact in the shade Fuchsia. I think they came out with a few of these. These were like 5 years ago, I think, holiday editions. I haven't gone into it at all this year, but obviously I do have quite a bit of use on it. It is a nice, cute little 6-pan. I enjoy it. There's no reason for me to get rid of it. I really, really enjoy this for traveling. I haven't needed to go into it, I guess. I really do enjoy this shade. It's one of these sort of peachy pink shades that I really enjoy, and it was a pleasure trying to hit pan on it for sure. But yeah, this one I haven't gone into at all, so I would like to go into it a little bit more. That's another one I think that would be good for summer just because that shade is really nice for the summer. And then I also have the Canyon from Alter Ego. So this one, again, I also pulled for my Shop My Stash. So I'm aware that I haven't gone into this one, and actually it's on my desk to use over the next few months. I think I just was burnt out using this for quite a lot when it was in my Project Level Up a couple years ago. I had to hit 5 different shades. It took me a really long time, and you know, I feel like Alter Ego formula is not the easiest to hit pan on, or like the fastest to hit pan on, let's say. It's not hard, it just takes a long time. And I don't know, I just didn't want to go into it for a long time, but now I'm ready to go into it. I'm into my warm tones, so, you know, it's here. I just haven't done it yet. Another one I haven't gone into is from ABH. This is the Nuvo palette. I was humming and ahhing whether I should declutter this, quite honestly. I don't know what it is. When I first got it, I really loved the muted color story. That was what drew me to this palette, and I really loved the formula and the quality. I thought it was really good, but as it's aged, I feel like the quality hasn't lasted as long as the sort of original ABH palettes that are this size. And so I was just starting to think, well, do I need to keep it? I don't really go into it. I haven't gone into it at all this year. I can't really see any shade in here that I think I would miss, quite honestly. Maybe this purple, but I do have that purple in other palettes, and I feel like all of these other shades, even the shades that I always said that I enjoyed, which was be Lily, Isle, and even Wings, there's just something about them where I'm not a fan of the formula anymore, or I don't find that I enjoy how they look on my eyes. So this is definitely more of a chopping block palette. It kind of scraped by. It was really something that I was really humming and ahhing about whether I should keep or not. I don't really enjoy these darker shimmers down below here. There's a lot of fallout from this one too, and it kind of makes a mess when you do your eyeshadow. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me that I haven't gone into this. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm missing out by not going into this. So, but I have done some really gorgeous looks with this palette. Like when I first got it, I really, really enjoyed it. So I don't know, maybe I just need to play around with it a little bit more and maybe I'll change my mind. Part of me is thinking I probably won't, but you never know. Okay, another one is a palette that I'm kind of humming and hawing about keeping. The quality is just kind of going. This is the Summer in Saint-Tropez from BH. It's a very old palette, and there's just a few shades that I feel like I'm going to be saving. So this is another one where I kind of decluttered it, but I haven't fully decluttered it yet, because I haven't done what I want to do, which is basically depot shades. Like this is just one where it's still sitting there. I haven't really touched it, but for the purpose, because there's no point in me going into shades that I probably won't keep. I don't think I'm going to keep most of the mattes. Maybe I'll keep the yellow just because it's quite an interesting yellow and I don't have this yellow in my collection. It's kind of like a powdery, so pastel-y yellow, which I don't think I have. I have more of like true yellows in my other eyeshadow palettes, or like deeper, more orangey yellows. But this one is quite unique. And I think this also is quite unique, this orange. And then I think some of these shimmers I'll keep. But otherwise, I don't think I'll keep any of the others. Maybe the blue, I don't know. Maybe the ones I've hit pan on. So I don't lose my pan percentage, I don't know. But definitely don't want to keep some of these other shades down here. So it hasn't been like a perfect palette for me. And so I'm not surprised that I haven't gone into it yet this year. Another one is another palette where I have technically decluttered it, but I have not decluttered it yet. This is the Jewels and Gem from Odai. It's my only Odai palette left. And as you know, I am not a fan of their formula. Their new palettes look really, really beautiful, like the Four Seasons palettes look really, really nice and stunning. I don't quite think some of the color stories match the season, but I can kind of see what they're doing. And honestly, the swatches of those shades look really, really beautiful. So I'm sure that their formula potentially has improved from what I know of them, but I also want to stop giving them my money because I've never liked a palette from them. So I think I'm just going to say, you know what, it looks pretty from afar. I will enjoy it from afar, but like up close and personal, I don't think I'm going to be trying Odai anytime soon. Anyway, so this palette I haven't gone into, and I purposely haven't gone into it because I just kind of want to declutter it. Like the color story of it is so interesting to me, and that's why I picked it up. But these shades are such duds. They're so dry on the lids. There's like no impact. It's really, really hard to work with some of them. There are some standout shades where they do look pretty. Like some of these mattes are quite interesting, these muted mattes. But again, I don't really think I need to keep them because I have them in my collection. And then this shade Swoon is actually the best shade in the palette in terms of the formula. Everything else is crap. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's so bad, but this one is really nice. So I was thinking maybe I'll keep that one and maybe one more just to have one more. I don't really know. But yeah, this one, I'm not surprised. I haven't gone into it. It's been on purpose. And I don't really care about going into it or even saving those shades. I just haven't done it. I'm going to do a video at some point when I have the time and it makes sense for me to depot some shades and put them as singles. But I'm kind of waiting to finish my Colourpop single No Pan Left Behind. That's pretty much what I'm waiting for. And then the last palette that I have yet to use this year is actually another ABH. It is my Jackiea. I really love this one. So compared to the Nuvo, I really enjoy this one. I think the formula has stood the test of time. It's quite a bit older than the Nuvo palette, but the formula in here still is beautiful. I don't have any issues. I have like no fallout with this. It's actually really hard to hit pan. It took me like, I don't know, 40 something uses to hit pan in one of the mattes, whereas I know that typically ABH is easy to hit pan. It was not easy for me in this palette. Let me tell you, maybe the shimmers, but not the matte. It is kind of dark, and I wish that it wasn't so dark. And I think my preferences have changed. It was one of my favorite palettes in my collection a few years ago, but I do tend to like palettes that have a little bit more of a contrast. I don't mind having depth in palettes, but I do like to have the bright and the deeper shades. And I feel like this is mostly deep with maybe just one or two pops of bright. And I can make it work for me, but it's definitely more of a sort of autumnal palette because I do really enjoy these 6 shades over here, and then maybe also a couple of these other ones. It's really the purples and the pinks that I don't really enjoy that I've realized in this palette, but I would never like depot it or like change it. I think it's fine, and because the formula works still fine and it was limited edition, I really love this palette. But it's not perfect, and that's probably why I don't go into it as much as I used to or should, but I do want to go into it because it's a shame not to at all. So I'm sure I will be going into it September, October time, because that makes a little bit more sense for me as opposed to now. But otherwise, I've gone into every other palette in my collection at least 2 or more times, which is really pretty cool. Obviously, I have a whole list and I know exactly how many uses of all of them, but that's not what this video is about. This video is just about my most neglected, which is a shame, but I know a lot of them that I haven't touched. It makes sense because they're basically on the chopping block, or I'm going to be depotting them, or I've technically decluttered them, but I haven't actually decluttered them, if that makes sense. All right, well, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!